number one. Well, firstly, welcome everyone to this meeting of the Finance Strategy Management Committee. Item number one, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillor Rob Rowlands.
Item number two, declarations of interest. Do we have any? Councillor Arnott.
Yeah, item 10, legal update. Item 6, the River and Rome Museum. I am a trustee, but I think I should be able to speak and vote if necessary.
Yeah, that's okay nowadays. Anyone else? Okay, item number 3, public participation. Do we have any people who have wished to participate, Town Clerk?
No, we don't. No.
Okay. Item number 4, minutes. To approve the minutes of the 7th of July. Are there any queries or kind of proposal that we approve them as on the agenda? Councillor Hamilton. Is that a proposal?
I so propose.
Okay. Councillor Camshot, you seconding that?
Yeah, I'll second. Also more.
Any all those in favour? Okay. Item number 5, finance. To receive the dashboard papers, management accounts, SIL expenditure, investment performance updates, bank reconciliations, and summary of payments. Do people want to do them individually, or shall we do them en bloc?
Do them together.
Okay. So you'll notice that currently we're running at £96.1 thousand over budget. Those negative variances are all COVID-19 related. So that's how it's affected us so far. A proposal that we accept all these, receive all these. Then, Councillor Hamilton.
No, I should speak to them actually.
Okay.
I know what you say, Councillor Reisman, as Chair of Finance. I would point out they are COVID-19 related, but the Mayor has made it very clear that COVID is no excuse. And I think
Chairman, point of order, Chairman. I have never said that COVID-19 has anything to do with finance, and I'd ask Councillor Hamilton to take that back, that remark, because that is totally incorrect. I've never said that.
I didn't say finance. I just point out what the Mayor has said.
I'd ask him to take that back, Chairman, because that is totally incorrect, that statement.
For the sake of this meeting, I will take that back then. Mr. Chairman,
do you have a point that you want to make about the dashboard papers?
I note the dashboard papers, but what we should be doing is looking at revenue generation, and particularly in the parking area. I think what we probably need to do is to specifically look at that, and either we refer that to R&M or TNC or whoever. But I just feel that given where we're at in terms of the numbers, we should be looking at perhaps increasing our parking to attain some more money.
Well, I think you're on the wrong agenda item here, because we'll be talking about the budget.
I'm talking about the dashboard.
Yeah, but we'll be talking about the budget figures and the costs of parking, the charges that we make, and so on for the services we provide, can be discussed in that item.
Okay, we can either discuss it now or well. Okay, I will note the dashboard papers and note the operating deficit of 96,000 minus. Thank you.
Right. Well, actually, the operating deficit is 96,000 on top of the budgeted deficit, so it's considerably greater than that. But and it is we have like every council in the country and every business, or most businesses, we have suffered from the difficulties caused by COVID. We're better placed than most, but because we do have reserves. But nonetheless, the COVID issues have affected this council, and I think at the moment we're doing well to hold the loss to 96,000. And we will be looking at ways to improve the finances, and so that will come on
the key point, Councillor Chairman.
Sorry?
That's the key point. We need to be looking at ways. That's all.
Okay. Can I have a proposal that we receive these papers then? Okay, Councillor Hamilton. Seconder, Councillor Arlott. All those in favour? Okay. Item number 6, expenditure. We have 2 items to approve. So we have a verbal report on the marketing costs for the town bus service. Who wants to give that? Is it you, Town Clerk, or is it you, Councillor Gabishak? Sorry, Town Clerk, would you like to speak then?
I believe actually it would
I
be
can,
the Deputy Clerk, Kath Adams, I believe.
Sorry, Deputy Clerk, would you like to explain why this money is needed?
Yes, this was mentioned in a report that went to full council at the end of July, actually, but it wasn't put in as a resolution. The company that we're using is quite a small family company, and it was felt during negotiations with them that it would be a positive thing for the council to share in some of the marketing costs of the new service. And obviously the council also wants to ensure that the service is well received, well used, and we'd like to expand it if possible. So so I put forward that we should use these funds from SIL.
Councillor Plans.
It sounds like a great idea, but just a small bit. Do we get an input on in what marketing they buy with that money, or is that given to them and then they do with it as they see fit, or is that we're going to spend 4 lots of 1,000 ourselves on marketing?
Councillor Gabishak, you're the chair of the bus working group. Would you like to explain how the money is going to be used and scrutinised, monitored and scrutinised?
yes, certainly. Thank you, Lawrence. A very good question. Sorry, my internet is pretty unstable at the moment because I can't see you moving. Can you hear me?
Yep, yeah, we can hear and see you fine.
Okay, right. There will be an announcement sort of fairly soon that in fact we're ready to actually launch the bus in early October. We don't know precisely the date at the moment, but that will come. Now, Kath, and there will be a bus working group soon. Will be designing the leaflets and the marketing for in conjunction with this company. The money that we have from Henley Town Council will be completely within our control, and I would envisage, for example, that in fact the company would design the leaflets to our standard in agreement with them, and then we might, for example, pay for the distribution costs to deliver them to all the houses in Henley. But that will all come through the bus working group, and it will be under our control completely. It's not that the money is handed over to the company and they get on with it. We're a joint partnership in this, and I'm sure we will do a very good job together.
Perfect.
I will take any other questions if you wish.
I strongly support the fact that we, having put the bus service into operation, that we then make sure it's advertised and residents are aware of the service itself, and it gets as much use as possible. I think that should be a good investment. I've got one query about the way in which the bus working group will use the money. The bus working group doesn't have delegated powers to spend money itself, so it will presumably make recommendations, will it, to the planning committee? Is that right? How will this work so that most people? I've got two hands up from the clerk and the deputy clerk. Who wants to answer?
Once the bus service is established, it will then transfer to the town and community committee to manage on an ongoing basis, and they of course will have delegated authority to approve that spend.
Okay, right. Sorry, Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm happy to support up to 4,000, but can I ask the bus working group to look at perhaps advertising on the backs of tickets or on the backs of leaflets to see if that money can be attained from a different source rather than from the town council, if possible?
Yeah, I'm sure all suggestions will be gratefully received by the bus working group and the town and community committee. We're here looking at the authorising the expenditure and making sure that it's properly scrutinised. The way in which the marketing is carried out is the responsibility of other committees and working groups. So please give your input to those groups, Councillor Hamilton.
I will just say one thing, Chair, if I may, that I have grateful thanks to Kath, the Mayor, and also Councillor Hillier for the enormous amount of work we put into actually getting this bus service back up and running. It's been 6 months of hard graft, actually, and actually a lot of hard graft happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks, where we were well, I'll only put it like this: we were in fairly heavy conversation with Oxfordshire County Council to actually resolve some issues. So it's really thanks to that, and Kath has done a sterling job, actually supported by Lorraine and supported by Ken as well, to bring this service back, which is actually vital for the community of Henley. Thank you.
I'd like to propose then that we approve this funding as on the agenda, and I'd just like to back up what Councillor Gavishak is saying. This has not been an easy project. It was by no means straightforward to establish, and it must have taken an enormous amount of work. And it is an essential service and an important win for the town of Henley and the residents, who quite a few of whom do depend on this service for accessibility to service the town centre and so on. So I'd like to so move. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor
I'll
Hamilton.
second it.
Okay, if we don't have talking, everyone in favour? Okay, thank you. Right, 6B, 46,232 from earmarked reserve for the paving of the area by the Lytham Pavilion, which I think is a very long-standing planned piece of work. I seem to remember. It's been on this committee, in front of this committee a few times. We have a report here from Carl Bishop, Becky Walker. So just to remind councillors, we've this has gone through the Recreation and Amenities Committee, and because they don't have the powers to approve expenditure of this sort, it has to come to this committee. So we're not discussing the pros and cons of whether it's desirable. We're simply making sure that it does represent value for money, the procedures have been done properly, and that we then award the contract as on this committee. So whose hands up first? Councillor Plans.
I was literally just going to say, having read through it and looked at those that have already looked at it and recommended and judged Company 6 to be the best, that we resolve to go with the recommendation and appoint Company 6. As okay. You said, I don't think there's much point in us going around it again and looking over it. Just second guessing those that already have. So. Okay,
thank you. Councillor Gavishak.
I will happily second that, Councillor Plans. It will really make this area look very, very smart, and again, well done for all the hard work. Councillor Hinton's here, who's the chair of RNA. All the hard work done by Becky and
Becky and Carl, definitely. Well. Can I just point out also that it's under budget, so saving those pennies.
Excellent. Well, Councillor Hamilton will be delighted that we're chipping away at
the best thing that Councillor Hinton has ever said.
Councillor Miller, were you trying to speak?
I hesitated. No, I was actually going to echo what Councillor Plants and Councillor Gavishak had to say. I think this will it's a bit of the icing on the cake down in Mill Meadows. I think it's great, and yeah, I fully agree with Company 6.
Okay, we have a proposal and a seconder. I think we've discussed it enough. Should we vote on that? All those in favour? Okay, that's carried. We now move on to item 7, the 2021-22 budget. So we're considering at this point, just to remind councillors, that we have a sort of cycle, a two cycle plan for the budget, in which all the committees make their initial views, and this committee will look at make certain assumptions that will then go into the figures, which will then come out for a second cycle, in which more detail will be considered before it's finally approved at a full council meeting early in January. So there is a report here from the accountant. Are you still the accountant, by the way, or is that a job title changed, by the way, Liz? Where is she?
No, she is. She would prefer to stay with the accountant.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So I can refer to you as the accountant then.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything you'd like to say? I think it's a very straightforward report, which.
No, I don't think there's anything to add. No, it is what it is.
There is a proposal here, and I know under 4.2, just to be clear, the suggestion is that the overall salaries are increased by the estimated 2.75%. That's something that's not in our power. We have to follow the Green Book recommendations, which are issued centrally after agreement between the government and the unions. It was 2.75% last year, and so the assumption for the figures until we get the figures for the next financial year is 2.75. So those would be the figures that are assumed, but that may change. So can I suggest that the wording is slightly changed, just in case anyone say that overall salaries are assumed to increase by an estimated 2.75%.
Yeah, I so propose.
Everyone happy with that? So I'm happy to propose from the chair that we take the recommendation as with that minor amendment. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Plans. Okay, who'd like to speak? Councillor Gavishak.
No, I was going to second, so I've got nothing to say. It's fairly straightforward. Sorry, I am saying something, actually. It's fairly straightforward, and we just do it. Thanks.
Okay, no hands going up, so I suggest we go to the vote then. All those in favour of the proposal on the paper are slightly amended. Okay, thank you. Right, we now come on to the community grant applications. It's a little shorter this year than, or this time than there have been. We have a report from the accountant. Which
is surprising, given the current climate. You thought that we'd get more applications in.
I think people are just relatively uncertain about anything that will be possible for the rest of the financial year, and are looking forward to doing things next year. We may well find that, assuming that the COVID situation is largely managed by next year, I think we might well find that there's a lot more applications. I would have thought that people that would have applied more, but these are the three that we have in front of us. So shall we go through each of them?
The town clerk's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at my papers.
Just to explain, it is slightly shorter this year than last year because the larger grants, which were previously discussed at the September meeting, these have now been moved to the December meeting. The reason being is so that we can factor them into our budget setting considerations. So that's why they're slightly later in the year. And although you would still expect to have a few more of the smaller grants as well, but that may be another reason why it looks a bit light as well.
Okay, so let's go through these in turn. And the usual way we do it is nowadays is to have an outline of the issues. People make their points, and then we look at and make a decision on all three, having discussed all three, making the decision to the second pass. So let's start off with the assisted reading for children. That's the order. Yes, it is the order on the agenda. So on page 53, we have an application for £2,500. Anyone like to speak to that? Councillor Plans, is that a hand or is it?
Yeah, I think Kelly was first.
Oh, Kelly, right, sorry.
I was sort of waving at the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were just happy.
As usual. I looked at this and I can see that they're currently reaching 24 Henley children. I don't really think it's for the town council, especially when we have Henley Educational Trust and the educational branch of the Henley Municipal Charities that they could also apply to. And seeing as the book sets cost £10 each, they would be doing a lot of covering a lot of children, hoping to cover a lot of children in Henley for £2,500 if we were to cover the full cost per child. I think if we were going to go for this, I would suggest maybe match funding half of the cost for maybe 50 children, which would be £250, and suggest that they go to Henley Educational Trust and the Henley Municipal Charities possibly for the rest of the funding they may require to reach that many children.
Yeah. Councillor Gavishek.
I thought that as well. We have two wonderful charities in Henley, the municipal and in particular the Educational Trust. It's what it's on the what it is on the tin, and they should apply to that. That's my thought. Thanks.
Okay, I mean, I think we should recognise that that with schools being closed for about 6 months, there are issues with many school children suffering from getting behind in their schooling, and reading is the single most important thing probably that you do learn at school. So in principle, I support what this project is trying to do, but it may be that the suggestion that we fund a little less than they've asked for is a good idea. Anything more anyone to say before we move on? Councillor Hamilton.
I too support this charity. I think we should be looking to give half of the amount. Yes, they should go to the HMC. Yes, they should go to the Henley Educational Trust. And if the Literary Festival has a good season, I know they're going virtual, there'll be different things, perhaps the Literary Festival might look upon this favourably as well. It's reading, it's very important. I would like to propose half.
Let's run through the three applications in the way we usually do before we make proposals, just so we can compare them. So, any more on this application from Assisted Reading for Children? Okay, let's move on to Henley Children's Theatre. Anyone like to speak to that? The page.
Oh, on page 89.
Yep, page 89. Thanks, Councillor Plant. So we have a grant application here. Who's got the hand up? Is that you with your hand up, Councillor Bidder, or was it?
Yeah, yes.
I'll come to you about Councillor Plant. Councillor Bidder, do you want to speak?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to come to Lawrence first. No.
No, go to Councillor Plant next.
Okay.
Sure.
Sorry. Yeah, I would like to see us offer the full grant to Children's Theatre. I think they do such great work in Henley. They've been running for so long. They are part of the fabric, and they do a lot of great stuff for the kids in Henley. And I would very much like to offer the full grant for this.
Councillor Plans, you had your hand up.
Couldn't agree more with Councillor Miller, but also find it very frustrating that a town and community asset such as the Kenton Theatre has deemed it fit and right to increase the weekly rental fee for someone like the Children's Theatre by so much. I think is utterly disgusting.
I agree with you.
And if it falls to the town council and the taxpayer to make that shortfall, I think the Kenton should look rather dimly on themselves and maybe not put in an application to us for any money coming forward. And if they do, I'll deduct whatever we've just given to their Children's Theatre to make up for the increase in rent that they've been charged when I look at that. But yeah, a brilliant thing run by a lovely lady that benefits lots of local children.
Councillor Rollins, is that your hand up, or are you?
No, just scratching my head, Chairman. No, I totally agree with what the last two speakers have said. The kids are the future of these towns, and to make it difficult for them really makes no sense at all. And I think the Kenton Theatre should take that view as well. And maybe with the new set of trustees, they may change their decision. But no, I'm fully supportive of £1,000. I think it's quite reasonable, actually.
Yeah.
A group of us did meet up with the Kenton the Kenton senior managers some time ago, before lockdown. I think it was in January, February this year, and as a result, an arrangement was made between the Children's Theatre and the Kenton, which seemed to help with the Children's Theatre to continue to operate in the way it wanted. But of course, things have changed very significantly then, both because of lockdown and also the uncertainty over the senior management at the Kenton itself. I wouldn't want to get into a battle of words with the Kenton, but I like the other speakers. I think this is a valuable community project that's well respected and going a long time, and I think we should support it. I very much hope that the Kenton will continue to work positively with this group as a community group. So that was I think people were broadly sympathetic to that application. Okay, the last one there. I've lost my page.
Last page, basically.
So the last application that we have, when I can find it,
The Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, the Henley Symphony Orchestra. Yeah, thank you.
94.
It's the
Who would like to
same
speak to that?
application as they submitted last year, and we went for 750 last year, so I see no reason not to basically reissue the recently refunded sum again, seeing as it's a almost identical application.
Seems pretty sensible. Anyone else got a view on that?
No, it seems very sensible.
Okay, so let's do a second pass now and go and make proposals on the on each of these individual applications. So the reading, children's reading. There was a suggestion earlier. Councillor Plans.
I know that the general consensus seems to be for 250-ish, but it just seems, in the amount asked for and considering the importance that we put on reading, maybe stretch towards, say, 500. I just think 10% of what they've asked for seems kind of almost a little bit offensive, is my thing. But I know there's lots of other people out there, but it's a good thing. Badgemore Primary School are working hard. Reading's incredibly important, is all I would say on it. But yeah.
I think I'd go a bit further, and Councillor Hamilton was suggesting about 50%. And my feeling is that, for all the reasons given, that the importance of reading, the difficulties that school children are currently facing, that I think 1250 is nearer the mark. But maybe that wouldn't carry the support given what was said earlier. Councillor Hinton.
I just think that people are focusing on what they've asked for rather than what they're actually doing. It costs £10 per child. To give them that, they would have to reach hundreds of children. They're currently reaching 24. So that's a lot of work for them to be able to do. Have they got the volunteers, the infrastructure to actually support and increase that size in this area of the district? Oh, sorry, the county, because they're county-wide, aren't they? I just think we're being overly generous because of the lack of other grants. And I don't think the lack of other grant applications, or because they've requested a large amount, they have gone to every town council and other funding stream in the county and asked for the limit of what they can ask for. They're not asking for 2,500 because they want to support 250 children. They're asking for it because that's the limit. And you can see that in the other applications they've made. On top of what I said about the fact that there are two other substantial charities that would be able to help them also. I think that perhaps the committee, it's nice that everyone's feeling so generous, but we are still a town council. We are looking to decrease the deficit. So I think we should be looking at what they're doing in the town, how much it's costing, and how much we want to contribute towards that.
Right, thank you very much. Would you like to make a proposal, seeing as you seem to have a very clear view on this?
I would propose, feeling the room, sorry, that we go for no more than £500. And I think that's way too generous.
I'd second 500 if you want to.
Probably second 250.
So there's been a suggestion of 500 and a suggestion of 250. Those seem to be where the committee is. Councillor Hillier, you haven't spoken yet.
I was going to endorse what Councillor Hinton said, and I would support 250 actually. And I just think it was a very well put together though, and I thank them for all the information. because sometimes we get applications with insufficient information, but that was very detailed. But I do take the point that Councillor Hinton's made, and I think she's right, and 250 was actually the amount I would have supported.
Okay, so Councillor Plans.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Kelly's saying, and I think it's right to look at the costing of it. But they currently support 24 children. Like, you know, we're giving them enough for one spare book to increase one pupil. I would hope that they might at least double the numbers over the next 12 months. The average size of a primary school class is about 30 children. So at this rate, they're not even reaching one classroom with 24 books. I think we can probably stretch to 50 books and hope that they expand over the coming year.
So, Councillor Hinton, I think you proposed 500.
I think because of COVID, I'm minded for 250 as well. But
Okay.
I just take Councillor Plant's point there. I think I'll stick with 500.
Right.
And hope that they
then.
reach these children that have suffered.
Do I have a seconder for that?
I'll second that. 500.
Okay. So we've had a seconder for 500. Does anyone else want to speak to that? We've heard support for 250 and 500. So right, let's take a vote on 500. All those in favour of 500. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's carried.
They may well actually give some help to Councillor Plants with his holiday reading going forward.
Only look at the pictures.
You can colour them in. Okay, so next is the Henley Children's Theatre, who've applied for £1,000. I think that was a pretty strongly supported application. Councillor Miller, would you like to?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I feel very strongly about this. I think it's a great asset to the town, what they do for the children. I would like to offer the full amount requested, which is 1,000, and I'm very surprised I didn't ask for more, actually.
Yeah. Councillor Plant, you were next. Do you want to second that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Councillor Hamilton.
I'm fully supportive. Yes, let's give them £1,000. Let's keep the talking going between the Children's Theatre and the Kenton, and Children's Theatre, please come back to us if you hit more problems.
Okay, so I think this fairly clear that this is well supported. Should we take a vote? All those in favour? So that looks to be unanimous. Yep, okay. So finally, the Henley Symphony Orchestra. Councillor Plant.
Unless anyone feels strongly, I'd go for a repeat of what we offered them last year, seeing as the event couldn't go ahead and we've returned what we did give them last year. So 700.
A seconder for that.
I'll second that.
Councillor Miller, right. Of course, orchestras have it particularly difficult in putting on events because of the nature of producing music. Okay, so the proposal is for £750. All those in favour of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's carried them.
Kenny, you're not an orchestra fan.
I hope they like our tunes.
We're all singing off the same hymn sheet.
God. Where's Dave?
Right, and do we have to, in 4.2, there's a recommendation that we approve adding the value of any budgets awarded last year to the budget for the remaining application that will be used in March 2021. Councillor Arnott.
Yeah, I would. I'd not vote for that, Chairman. I think we've got a big enough deficit, and I think we should put that against the deficit. You know, every year we seem to work within the budget for the grant, so I see no point in adding to that. So I'd vote against. I'll propose that we don't accept 4 point.
Well, I don't think you need to propose anything. We just need to not propose that we do it.
What?
I think a proposal to do nothing isn't really a proposal.
I'll second what Councillor Arnott is saying.
Yeah. So the suggestion that we don't add in the money.
Suppose we don't put the money in with this year's, Chairman. How's that for you?
Yeah. Okay, you can do that then. I'll let you do that. Councillor Plant, who was seconding that? Was it Councillor Plant or Councillor Hamilton? Councillor Hamilton.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Does anyone wish to speak against that? I mean, it's worth reminding you that we could still change our minds in 6 months' time. If we get
I've already summed up, Chairman, sorry.
no, I don't think you made a proposal.
Put it to the vote, please.
So we will be able, if we receive a huge number of applications and we think they're all worthwhile, we still have the option of going ahead and approving them. We have the rights to do that. But I think your signal is clear. We need to be looking after our finances given the struggle that we're in. Right. And would you like to sum up, Councillor Arlott?
It's never a problem to finish a meeting early, Chairman, so I won't say anything else.
I'm going to tell you, I never bet Hillary on finishing this early. Okay, so we'll vote on that proposal not to do anything. Okay, that's approved. Okay, so that's the end of item 8, and item 9 is the exclusion of the public and press. So to consider that the public and press be excluded from the remainder of the meeting in accordance with the Public Bodies Admissions and Meetings Act 1960, as publicity will be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business. I so move. Okay, seconded by Councillor Arlott. All those in favour? Right, thank you to members of the public who've been watching. We hope you found it interesting, and we'll now turn off the recording and proceed to the confidential business. Town Clerk.